The roar of the crowd, the flashing cameras, the glory of lifting trophies, this is the Carlos Alcaraz the world sees today. A young champion, already cementing his name alongside the greats, dazzling fans with his fearless game and magnetic personality. But behind every forehand winner, behind every triumphant moment on the biggest stages of tennis, there's a story that very few truly know. A story not just about talent, but about sacrifice. About a family who gave everything they had, and more, to shape the destiny of a boy from El Palmar, Spain. This is the untold truth of how Carlos Alcaraz's family has been the driving force behind his rise to tennis greatness. Long before Alcaraz became a household name, he was just a boy swinging a racket on the clay courts of a small Spanish club. His father, Carlos Alcaraz Gonzalez, was not just his first coach, but the architect of his dream. A man who once dreamed of being a professional himself, but whose career never reached the heights he imagined. Instead of burying that dream, he passed it on to his son. But dreams don't come cheap. And in the world of tennis, they demand everything: time, energy, money, and faith. For the Alcaraz family, it meant sacrifice. His father worked tirelessly at a tennis academy, not only to provide for his household but to ensure that Carlos had access to courts, equipment, and coaching. Every extra euro, every spare hour, was invested in the boy who showed extraordinary talent from the moment he could hold a racket. But his father wasn't alone. His mother, Virginia, became the quiet backbone of the family. While Carlos and his father chased tournaments and training sessions, she held the household together, often making sure the other children in the family were cared for, while still supporting her son's dream. Every match he played was also a test of her strength, knowing her son was carrying not only his ambitions but the hopes of the entire family. Carlos's brothers played their part too. They gave up comforts, shared resources, and lived in the shadow of a sibling who demanded so much attention and commitment. But there was no jealousy, only pride. Because when one member of a family carries a dream, in truth, the whole family carries it together. As Carlos began to rise, competing in bigger tournaments, the sacrifices only grew heavier. Traveling for junior events across Europe required money the family didn't always have. There were nights of uncertainty, of stretching resources, of wondering how much longer they could sustain the dream. But time and time again, the Alcaraz family chose to keep going. They bet everything on Carlos, believing his talent and determination would make it worthwhile, and then came the breakthrough moments. Victories on the junior circuit. Wins that caught the eye of sponsors. Step by step, their sacrifices began to show results. The boy from El Palmar was no longer just another junior hopeful. He was becoming something bigger, something brighter, the future of Spanish tennis. But even as coaches, agents, and sponsors entered the picture, one constant remained: family. His father still stood beside him, guiding him not only on strokes and tactics, but on the values of hard work and humility. His mother still grounded him, reminding him that no matter how many trophies he lifted, he was first and foremost her son. His brothers remained his companions, his greatest supporters, cheering from the stands or from afar. This bond became Carlos's secret weapon. Tennis is often called a lonely sport. Players travel the world, face intense pressure, and stand alone on court with nowhere to hide. But Carlos never felt truly alone, because his family was always with him, sometimes physically, always spiritually. Their voices became his shield, their belief his anchor, their sacrifices the foundation beneath every step he took. When Alcaraz won his first Grand Slam, the cameras captured his tears of joy. But those tears weren't just for himself. They were for the countless nights his parents stayed up worrying about finances. For the hours his father spent feeding him balls on the court. For the days his mother comforted him after a loss. For the brothers who cheered him on even when the spotlight wasn't on them. Every trophy he lifts is a family trophy. Every victory, a shared victory, and Carlos himself has never hidden this truth. Time and again, in interviews, he has spoken about how his success is not his alone. He openly thanks his parents, his brothers, his team, acknowledging that without their sacrifices, his dream would have been impossible. In a sport where many stars can become distant from their roots, Alcaraz wears his with pride. It is easy to look at a champion and see only the glory. But what makes Carlos Alcaraz's story so powerful is that his greatness is not built on talent alone. It is built on the quiet, unshakable foundation of family. A family that gave everything for him, not knowing if the dream would ever pay off, but choosing to believe anyway, and that is why his journey resonates so deeply. Because it reminds us that behind every prodigy, behind every champion, there are sacrifices we don't see. There are parents, siblings, and loved ones who put their own dreams on hold to nurture someone else's. Carlos Alcaraz may stand alone when he steps on court, but every time he raises his racket in triumph, he carries his family with him. Their story is not just about producing a tennis champion. It is about love, sacrifice, and the power of belief. So the next time you watch Alcaraz chase down an impossible ball, or smile with that boyish grin after winning another title, remember this: you're not just watching an athlete. You're watching the living testament of a family's devotion. The world sees Carlos Alcaraz, the champion. But those who know, see something even more powerful: Carlos Alcaraz, the son, the brother, the dream fulfilled by an entire family's sacrifice. And that, more than any trophy, is what makes his story unforgettable.